How much time, energy, and resources have you invested in helping someone that's struggling with an addiction only to watch them keep going back to it? You don't want to give up on them, but you're fast giving up hope that they'll ever change. Well, you can step off the addiction roller coaster and find a solution that'll work for both of you. Join addiction experts, hosts of the popular podcast, The Addiction Solution, and authors of The Freedom Model for Addictions, Mark Sheeran, and me, Michelle Dunbar, to learn a solution that'll provide you and your loved one freedom from the addiction battle for good. It's called Families Moving Past Addiction Masterclass, and it's a 3-hour live online free event where you'll hear information about addiction we guarantee you've never heard before. So if you love someone struggling with an addiction, then this masterclass is for you. To enroll, click the link provided and register soon for the date that works for you, because each masterclass will only have 50 participants. We'll see you at the class. Welcome to the Addiction Solution Podcast. I'm Michelle Dunbar. Enjoy listening and watching as addiction experts Mark Sheeran and I cover controversial as well as helpful topics on addiction, how to move past it, and other related subjects. As two of the co-founders of the Freedom Model, Mark and I will give you a completely new perspective on the topics that matter to you. We will take to task the Recovery Society's lies and misinformation and replace them with facts, research, and the methods to move on from addiction struggles without 12-step meetings, rehabs, and the shackles of endless recovery. Let's escape the treatment and recovery trap together and learn to be free. Welcome to the truth. Hey everyone, welcome to the Addiction Solution. I'm Michelle Dunbar.
And I'm Mark Sheeran.
And we are the co-authors of the Freedom Model for Addictions, Escape the Treatment and Recovery Trap, along with Stephen Slate. Now, people have asked where Stephen is. Stephen is still a part of the Freedom Model. He lives in New York City, and we live in upstate New York.
Right.
So we talk to him, occasionally, and he's working on different new chapters for an update of the book, which we've been busy building different products up here. So the book itself will be updated at some point in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Yep.
So today, what we're going to do, first of all, you can get a free copy of this book at freebook.freedommodel.org if you live in the United States. If you don't live in the United States, it's faster for you if you want a paperback to order it from Amazon, because it will be printed in your country and shipped to you for much less expensive than shipping would cost from the US. And it'll get you much, much faster, even Canada.
That's right.
So what we're going to talk about today, we've had people in the group, and we've gotten some new people, a lot of new people in the group in recent months. A lot of new followers, a lot of people taking advantage of getting the free book. And if you want to know about our group, if you listen to this podcast, we have the Facebook group, the Freedom Model group is our official Facebook group where you can, ask questions about the Freedom Model. We have a lot of members who have been there for a few years now, who have read the book, who get it. And they can be really helpful if you have questions. So one of the questions that we get from people who are in the process of reading the book is that they get to the point where they're like, I don't like this anymore. I don't see any benefits in doing this behavior or getting drunk and high all the time again. Yet here I am continuing to do it. And it may not be just about drugs and alcohol. It also might be about, other behaviors. We had somebody recently talk about, porn, and say things like, I see no value in this.
And yet I keep doing it.
And so my answer to that, I always feel a little bad because I'm not trying to be trite, but the obvious answer is, well, that's not true.
Right. You obviously have a massive preference for it.
Yes,
So
you see benefits in doing it. You see
that's right.
value doing it, or you wouldn't. And so the key is going to be, because there's a difference. Look at both Mark and I at one point in time were heavy substance users, heavy drinkers. And I do remember thinking, like, hating myself.
So what you're talking about is the difference between hating yourself, feeling guilty, feeling shame, and still liking the perceived benefits. So you
Right.
can have both.
But you conflate that sometimes.
That's right.
You conflate that in thinking,
That's right.
but, I hate myself, so I hate this behavior because it makes me hate myself. But if you hated the behavior and you didn't see, so when you conflate these two things, if you don't figure out what benefits you see in it, what value you see in it, then it's nearly impossible to challenge that. You can't challenge what you don't know. And without challenging the benefits, you're not going to change the preference.
So it's an interesting thing because we do have this Facebook group where there's a lot of beginners, Freedom
Yes.
Model beginners,
Which is great.
and a lot of them, or some of them, tend towards looking for a solution in the group. Well, the solution's not going to be in the group. You might find some good little nuggets, but to change a lifelong or a maybe decades long or an annual sort of habit that you've built over time that you see massive value in, it's probably not going to change through a couple of posts. And I'm not denigrating what you're trying to do. I'm just saying that if you're struggling that much, and some of these people are really struggling, I know what that's like.
I do too. I know
freaking
what it's
horrible.
like to feel like I'd rather be dead than keep doing this.
Right. You feel so stuck. But if you're there, you may need more information than what you're gathering on your own. In other words, that's why we created the online program, the Freedom Model online program, where Michelle and I do tutorials just like this. And if you need more help, we have coaching. This isn't an ad. We created these products for exactly that reason.
We did.
I have no doubt that had I read the Freedom Model, I wouldn't have stopped drinking because it wouldn't have been enough for me. I needed to talk with Jer. I needed to sit down, look eye to eye, one-on-one, and say, I need to discuss this over and over until I get it, because it's not gelling. And those were the conversations that eventually.
Well, and part of it was because you were heavily steeped in the disease mythology, the mythology of substances. I mean,
yeah, there was a massive amount to unpack. There
is, and that's the thing. Now I'm going to say something, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but if you're one of these people who's like, yeah, I'm reading the Freedom Model, and I just, it's just obviously, you can't just read a book and fix yourself. Well, you can, and a lot of people do.
Thousands have.
They do.
Thousands have.
But here's the thing. I've said this before. I did a whole podcast on it, and sometimes you have to unpack beliefs in it's a process.
Yeah.
And
that was the layers of the onion.
The layers of the onion. And this thing, when you get to that point where you're all your focus is on how badly you hate yourself and what this drug, what this behavior is doing to you, when that's all you can see, you're not going to get to the point where you change your preference because you have to. So I have to, if I'm trying to change a behavior, I have to set aside the consequences. I have to set aside the fact that I, wish I would stop. I have to set aside all of that and only focus on, all right, I'm doing this. Why am I doing it?
Yeah, that's a great point. So we've done podcasts on this as well about guilt and shame being a veil that stops you. It's like having blinders on. You can't, the thing that drives use, the single thing that drives heavy use or use of any kind or any behavior is the pursuit of happiness.
Yep.
That you see in the process of getting high and the results of getting high or drunk. So if you're not able to shamelessly
Yes.
Embrace the fact that you like it. I guarantee you're going to struggle forever, because then if you sit
right.
there and you divert your attention to the shame, guilt, consequences, and trade-offs that are negative, and you stare at those, there's this massive thing staring at you in the face called a preference, a desire, I like this thing. But people will literally, I watch it every day on our group,
Yep.
blow that off and say, I can't fucking believe I'm doing this again.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it. I believe it because your actions belie your mindset.
Yes.
So your actions tell the lie you're telling everybody. I believe that you hate yourself.
Oh, sure.
I did too.
I did too.
I believe that you feel guilty. I believe that you hate the costs. I guess lie is the wrong word. So I believe you on that. But the lie you're telling yourself is by omission. You're not looking at why you like it. What is the driving force for the use? So you're ignoring the very thing that's creating all of this, which is, I really like to get fucked up for A, B, C, D, and E reasons.
Yep.
Now, if you can identify A through E and say, okay, I'm going to let go of my shame and I'm going to look at all the reasons that I like it. And I'm going to shamelessly do that. Let go of guilt. This is what I do with guests when I'm coaching them all the time. I say, this is a judgment-free zone. For the love of God, can we please talk about why you like it so much, and be honest with me and be honest with yourself about it? Because when you're getting high, you're certainly honest with yourself about that. You're saying, yeah, I'm going to go do my little thing. So it's kind of nonsensical to try to fix the problem without identifying why you like it so damn much. And so we will do just about anything to blow that off, because we've been taught by the people around us to say, I hate it.
Yes.
Because you're being judged by them. So stop judging yourself. Stop worrying about what other people think, and start saying, I like it for these reasons. Then we can figure out whether they're real or not.
You know what's amazing is working with, I mean, we've worked with thousands of people, the two of us, and working with people who will get here, you know, when people will come to the retreat or they start coaching with us, and they will be in that camp where, you know, I just hate this behavior. I hate it so much. I hate that I get drunk every night. I hate that I polish off 2 bottles of wine every night. It just, and they'll go through all of the, like, the very first thing they talk about is all the bad stuff, all the bad consequences. But after, you know, maybe that happens in the first coaching session, but by this next, you know, I'll give them the assignment to read chapter 4. I want you to try and set aside the consequences for just while you read that chapter. You're reading chapter 4, and I want you to romanticize it again. I want you to romanticize the glass of, I want you to think your way through it as you're reading these reasons. And I want you to highlight every reason in chapter 4 that applies to you. And it's amazing. The next class, they come back and we start talking about the reasons, and they're laughing and smiling and you know, thinking of, yeah, I do like it for this reason and this reason. Now, there's a reason the treatment programs don't go there with people.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they're like, oh, you're going to make them keep wanting it.
And to be honest, it's a money consideration for them, because they don't have a solution. If they were to go down the path
right. That is scary for them.
Then the people are leaving because they're going to go get high. And with us, they know that we're going to get past that. We're going to show them because they've seen the results. So we can go there and then immediately start to challenge it. But treatment centers don't know how to challenge it. They
because they believe it.
Yeah, they believe it.
You're told it's the best. You're never going to feel as good as you did when you were high on heroin.
Right. And so even the staff believes it, and they've romanticized drugs, and it's this tenuous, tense thing, and you practically locking people away and taking their cell phones away, and because you're infantilizing people to such a degree that you have to control them, because after all, they're out of control. And my God, we have to lock them away to get their 30 days of insurance money. It's such bullshit.
I have to just digress for a minute and just talk quickly about being at this conference, this addiction treatment conference in Washington, D.C., or it was in Alexandria, Virginia. It was right outside of D.C., and this was 2009 or 2010, and it was right before the Affordable Care Act was going to be passed, and the treatment industry was in their glory, thinking, oh, there's a ton of money that's going to be had, and so they romanticize it so much that this 3-day convention, the nights, the people that were there, the treatment providers that were there, were partying their asses off. It was bizarro, right? Except for the people that were in recovery, because about half the people in the treatment industry are in recovery, and the other half are people that are like, it's too bad that all you people in recovery can't enjoy this wonderful thing called alcohol or whatever they were doing. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and the recovery people were hiding away.
We're hiding away because they were like, they know that this is going to be a drink fest for the people that are not in recovery. And so everybody, it's like this dance that you're doing, like, yeah, it is pretty great. And it's too bad you can't tie one on at the end of a hard day. And so, no, but with the freedom model, we want you to look at this stuff without shame, without guilt, and say, okay, yes, I do like it, because I do feel like I need it to relax at the end of the day. It does help me to celebrate on certain occasions. It does, like we want you to, not so we can say, hey, it doesn't do that. Hey, it doesn't do that. It's so that we can walk you through the process of understanding, okay, this is what alcohol does to your body. This is what you do with your mind, interpreting it.
Right. Interpret it. So let's get into benzodiazepines for a minute. So there's people take it for anxiety.
Yes.
Right. You did.
And they will go to the mat that it takes away their anxiety.
That's right. So, and I remember when you had trouble flying, they gave you benzos for the first time and you had the experience. And so, you felt like it made it easier to fly. Yes or no?
No, I didn't take it to fly. My doctor said it will help you to fly. It will relieve your anxiety. Well, I already know what I know here. And so I didn't believe it. And I wanted to keep my wits about me, so I didn't take it. But everybody I talked to that had taken it to fly said, oh my God, you need it to fly. You need it to fly. It'll help you fly. But my experience with it was different. I had to take Valium to get a cortisone shot in my hip.
Right. Okay. So you have one situation that's mental and emotional, which is the flight example. And then you have one that's physical with the ticklish sensation in your hip.
I'm ticklish in the groin area where the needle would go. And, it's a giant needle. So there's a certain amount of, jumpy. Like I'm jumpy between being ticklish and getting a giant needle stuck.
Okay. So I want to dig in here. So benzodiazepines do stop you from being jumpy because the benzodiazepines work on the wiring system, the nervous system, the electrical system. That's how your muscles are run. And it's also how the brain processes through electrical, chemical, central nervous system systems. And that system is affected by benzodiazepines. So it makes sense to me that legitimately, if you take enough benzodiazepines, you won't be jumpy. As a matter of fact, if you take enough of it, you'll be dead because you'll stop breathing. It'll stop the signal going to your heart and lungs.
I had 10 milligrams of Valium, which is a pretty good dose of Valium.
Right. So we know that physically drugs affect us because they are molecules. They are things that affect the body. But here's what's interesting about anxiety. Anxiety is a product of belief. It's called self-consciousness, right? Consciousness, mind. And so let's say that you have acute anxiety. You have a belief that going out into the world is a terrible thing and you should be terrified. And you develop this over a childhood, let's say.
And I've had a panic attack before.
Yep. I've had many of them.
So I know, we understand what they're like. And so explain what happens.
So with panic it is acute self-consciousness. So you have a belief about yourself that maybe other people dislike you, or the world is a bad place, or just an
impending doom, something bad is going to happen.
Right. It's centered on the idea that there's something bad that's going to happen, and you become acutely aware of it, and you have consciousness. Right?
And then you have physical symptoms.
Yes.
Maybe your heart starts racing. You start profusely sweating,
But
shaking.
But all of that is predicated on a belief. So it starts with a belief in the mind. The world is a bad place, let's say. It could be simple like that, but it can be all encompassing. It can be debilitating. And when you think it, it processes in the brain, and then that then goes into fight or flight. The body doesn't know any different.
Nope.
It's getting
It
instructions.
believes what you're telling it
Yep.
from your mind.
It doesn't know the difference. It says the mind is, or the brain tissue is telling me right now, start getting ready for the fight, going out into the world, because your belief is that it's a bad place.
Right. Your thoughts that you are doing.
That's right. Your beliefs that you have learned and created or experienced can be all those things, but it's belief based. Then it gets processed through brain tissue, the body reacts, and then you become aware of that thought. So it goes from your mind through your brain tissue back to your mind, from your mind through the brain tissue back to your mind. That's how life works. And that happens seamlessly, constantly, the entire time you're alive.
Yes.
It's called consciousness.
Yes.
Now, when you're acutely self-conscious, it creates an effect in the body. Well, benzodiazepines, take a couple of Valium, and it slows down the brain. The electrical signals are slowed down. And so now there are two directions this goes in. First direction is the doctor tells you you won't be anxious anymore. Benzos take care of your anxiety. Your Xanax will take care of your anxiety. If you believe that, and then you feel the slowed neural functioning and your body, because you will.
Right. It blocks that fight or flight chemicals, right? That's how it acts. That's how it acts on your body.
On your body. But remember, your body isn't your mind. So then you, with consciousness, you become aware that your body is slowed down. Now, you don't parse it out this way because you're just going on a belief that the doctor told you this is taking care of your anxiety. So you interpret a slowed body, a slowed neural effect, as anxiety relief. I no longer have to be anxious about these thoughts because I am high. And what is high? I feel funny. Here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you really do.
Okay, you feel funny.
Very bizarre.
Now, just as many people take benzos and become scared.
Right.
And this is really, really important. We ignore that because the pharmaceutical companies would never want to publicize the fact that actually more people, it's not even half, more people reject
they don't
Xanax
like it
the first time because the physical effect and the slowed neural functioning and the sloppiness of their body is not interpreted as anxiety relief. It is interpreted as increased anxiety. And that is, I don't fucking like this.
Right. I'm not in control.
Now,
which I don't like.
Which we see with every type of drug across the board. And that is the vast majority of people that take heroin, maybe in the form of morphine or painkillers, or the vast majority of people who drink for the first time and get inebriated, the vast majority don't do it again, or they moderate it drastically and use it for some other function, and they don't have a problem with it because they don't build a preference for it. If the drug actually went into the realm of your mind and changed you 100% of the time through this chemical action, as the pharmaceutical companies and the beer companies, everybody wants you to believe, then everybody would say, fuck, I take a pill and I don't have to care anymore.
Right.
I mean, hell, I would be taking it.
Right.
But it's not reality. And so most people, and it's very important for you to know this, interpret it differently. And you can too. That's the thing. But you have to start with your belief that this is the most amazing fucking thing on the planet. It takes away my anxiety. No, it's your interpretation of the physical things that you then interpret as anxiety relief, which means you could not take the drug and then take care of your anxiety a different way through some other interpretation, some other belief. I don't need a benzo. I can let go of my anxiety through A, B, C, D, or E.
Right. And
that's the freedom model.
And look at, I made the decision I had an intense fear of flying after 9/11. And Mark and I had to go on a business trip on the 5-year anniversary of 9/11. You know, we had to fly out of Albany. Here we are. We live in New York, where everything kind of went down.
Yeah, we knew people that died.
We knew people that died, and I was intensely afraid. I mean, but I also knew, even then, it was 2005, and I knew that any anxiety relief I would feel from taking a pill would have been actually me doing it. That taking a pill wasn't going to change my fearful thoughts about what could happen getting on that plane. And I had to reframe things. I had to think of things differently. And do you remember what you said to me? Then it was 9/11, 2006 that we were flying.
I said, it's the safest day to fly ever.
Right? There'll
I
be the
mean,
most security.
security is going to be fucking crazy.
Right. And at first I was like, no, I don't think that's true. But then I was like, you know what? He's right. He's right. And then I had to start thinking, because it was the first time I had flown. I mean, I had flown a lot in the 90s, and then I didn't fly for all those years. And I thought, no, he's absolutely right. And
So you changed your belief, which lowered your anxiety.
yes. Yes, I changed my belief. I changed my thoughts about it. I consciously lowered my anxiety by reframing things differently with no drugs involved whatsoever.
Now, I want to talk about our audience, which tends to be radical, like Michelle and I were with their use. So they'll say to me, fuck you, Mark. The drugs do take my anxiety away. And I go, wait a minute. How much benzos are you taking?
Yeah.
And then they tell me the dose, and I go, well, yeah, you're pretty close to
Unconsciousness.
unconsciousness. What does that mean? You become almost overdosed or unconscious.
Right.
So you can't be aware of your thoughts if you're shutting your brain off to the point to where breathing and heart rate are slowed to the point to where there's almost oxygen deprivation. There's all these effects happening and you're a sloppy mess. I get it. But you know what's interesting about that? Even then you're still thinking until you're completely passed out and overdosed.
Right.
So even then you're still interpreting because you're conscious enough to know it and enjoy it because that's what you prefer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean the drug is taking away thoughts. It might make your body sloppy. It might make processing of thoughts slow. And then people say, yeah. Then they grab that and they go, yeah, that. And I go, okay, you can prefer that. I don't even care.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I want everyone to understand. Look, we're not saying that nobody should want this or like this or do this. It doesn't matter to us.
Right.
You know, what we're saying is if you're reading the Freedom Model, it's probably because you're ready to make a change. And there's a part of you somewhere that knows this isn't really doing for me what I wanted to do anymore.
That's right. So let's say that it slows down processing. That doesn't mean it changed the content of the thought.
That's
the
right.
anxiousness
Right.
of the thought has not been eliminated by a drug. It has just slowed the process. Then you, with your own mind, the same mind that is making your anxiety with beliefs, has a new belief, and that is the drug is taking away my anxiety. So therefore you have anxiety relief, but it ain't the drug. You're the interpreter. You are the interpreter of both the drug effect in your physical being and the source of your anxiety. And you're the one making the decision to see the drug effect in your body as stress or anxiety relief. You're creating that thought, that belief, because drugs don't make beliefs.
Yes.
Drugs don't make beliefs. I'm going to say a third time. Drugs don't make beliefs. Drugs affect processing speed.
Yes.
One way or the other, but they don't change the content of your beliefs. So stop giving them credit for that. Start taking credit for something that it's you are your mind, literally. So people, I'm going to wrap this back around to the group. People will look at these situations in a cursory fashion, expecting a couple of posts to change them. They're waiting for somebody to fix them and give them the right sentence. Not everybody, but
No,
but
no.
I'm talking to you know who you are. All right. I did it for years. I'd go to AA sporadically when I was drinking and drugging and do all this counseling and shit. And meanwhile, I'm hating my life and I'm hating what I'm doing, but the preference, my belief in the magic of drugs, the bullshit that I was sold by pharmaceutical companies and beer companies, I imbued that physical sensation with all that crap. So if you want to change that, you have to change it with enough data where you really frame out, holy shit, I am bullshitting myself. Like in a massive fucking way, I am bullshitting myself endlessly about the value of drugs and the capabilities that I've given it. The imaginary capability that it can change my mind and change my environment and change how I see everything in the world. It can't do any of that.
Well, I want to transfer that to the non-substance behaviors. Okay, that we have in some of the people in our group, whether that's porn and masturbation, or gaming, or online shopping, or whatever your behavior is, gambling, whatever your behavior is. And there's all this neuro jargon about what you need to understand is when we're talking about substances, you're actually ingesting something that people have a very strong belief that it's doing these things for them. With these other behaviors, it's more, you're not ingesting anything. It's more this internalized, or even if it's food, it's this internalized thing that I like to do this to the exclusion of everything else. Well, the question becomes why, right?
Yeah, that's everything.
That's
It's your
like,
beliefs.
yeah. Do you genuinely believe that you're happier, right? Doing nothing but that activity? Do you like that activity enough? And if you do, okay.
Right.
Right? If you do, okay, stop beating yourself up about it. Stop, maybe the key there is to kind of figure out, how can I be happier just reducing it a little bit, just going out and doing something else for a change. What do I really trying to get out of this activity that it can't give me?
Yeah. So make sure though that what Michelle is talking about isn't mindless,
Right.
isn't coupled. If you keep the same belief that the drug has the capacity to change the content of your thoughts and make your world better inside the realm of your mind and how you feel about the world, if you believe that the drug is responsible for that change
Or
in
the
you,
behavior.
yep, yeah, or even the rituals around drug, all of it, all of those beliefs, if you retain those beliefs but then you want to change the costs, you can't, because the beliefs are going to drive heavy use and the costs are coming, dude. I mean, that's just the way it is. The trade-offs are the trade-offs are the trade-offs. So many of the people will say, I hate myself, I hate what I'm doing, I hate. But and then they conflate the costs with I hate drug use.
I hate what I'm doing.
And that's not true.
It isn't true.
Because your actions belie the truth. You love the drug.
You love what you're doing.
Based on perceived benefits that may be true or not. If you told me I love the physical sensation of a 12-pack, got it. Keep drinking.
Right.
Truthful. But if you tell me I love the physical sensation, the heat going up the back of my neck, the warm sensation, and you know what? I don't have to give a fuck. Now, there's where we go into the realm of the mind and we're creating extra value. That's absolute 100% bullshit. Exactly. The drug is not doing that. That's you. So you could do that without the drug.
Absolutely.
Or you can continue with the charade and pay a heavy price because drinking has a heavy cost. That's fine.
Right.
I used to box. It has a heavy cost, but I liked it. Yep. Then eventually I stopped because I didn't like it so much. So, but it's this inappropriate framing that drugs and alcohol have some capacity to change the human mind, which is a metaphysical thing, and change the content of our thoughts for us. That is the grand lie that every pharmaceutical company and every beer company wants you to believe, because they build value into it. And until that belief changes, you are going to continue with heavy use.
So I want to say something for the people that are like, I'm writing the book. Or if you're listening to the book, I can listen to a book, an audiobook, and miss half of it because my mind, I'm that person, my mind wanders. I start thinking of other things. If that's you, or if that happens as you're reading a book, because sometimes that happens to me too.
God, me too.
You know, then maybe the online program is something that would be of more value to you.
Yeah, look at this isn't an ad. People sometimes get pissed at us and they say, "Oh, you're always pushing your products." You know what I am? I'm pushing them
They
because
change people's lives.
Yeah, because you know what? There are people out there that don't know about them and they're struggling with the book. I would not have done well with a book, me personally. I'm at the point now as a researcher where I've read enough and I've taught myself. But
Me too.
dude, when I was coming off a 6-month bender and my life was in disarray and I was in treatment all that time, I was mind dead. I needed a human being. I needed coaching. So there's 3 levels of care in the freedom model. There's the book, the podcast, sort of almost passive, really. Reading a book is not that intense, but I'm not the kind of guy that's going to really dig into a book at that stage in my life. I needed somebody to talk with me. And it took Jerry some time with me to unravel how fucked up I was.
Yeah.
you know? And my beliefs were crazy. I grew up in a completely fictional world about drugs and alcohol. I mean, the beliefs were really, really crazy.
And for me, it took reading, a lot of reading. I'm a voracious reader, but I read a ton of different stuff, and yeah, I had people to talk to, mainly Mark, really, that that I had to talk about what I was reading.
Yeah. So some of you, so the 3 levels are, you sort of have the podcast, the book, our YouTube channel. Those are sort of passive, where you're kind of there and you can get the information, and depending on the style of learning that you have, that works. It works for thousands of people.
Absolutely. Most people.
And it's incredibly, incredibly affordable because it's free. Right.
Right.
So almost everybody enters the freedom model through that sort of angle, that portal. And then we have the online program for people that learn visually. Sometimes you need a tutorial like this, like what we're doing right now. If you're watching the podcast, this is how we teach the 95 video tutorials in
but each
online program.
Lesson, there's so many lessons, and each lesson, takes a key point in each of the chapters. So, so you can say, "Oh, I'm learning chapter 4." Well, there's 2 videos for chapter 4 where we teach it.
That's right. So, and the beauty is you have the entire table of contents and all the lessons laid out for you. You can pick and choose, and you can say, "Oh, I'm struggling with that. Oh, I'm struggling with that belief. I'm struggling with that belief." And so if you're a visual learner, you do the online program coupled with YouTube. And I guarantee you, if you're a visual learner like I am, that is going to be a powerful, powerful tool. That's why we built it. And then if you need people to talk to because you're in deep, or there's just maybe one topic that you need to really nail down, do a session.
Yeah, do a coaching session.
Do one coaching session.
Or in the online program, you write once a month. Today, we're recording today on a day when we're actually doing a live question and answer. The last Wednesday of every month in the online program, you can come on and talk with us.
That's right. So if you enroll in the online program, you could, like she said, go through an entire month's worth of tutorials. And if 5 of them are bugging you and you want us to talk to us, then get into the live session with us and talk.
Yeah. And ask a question. Now there'll be other people in there, but if you want to talk with a coach privately, then you call the toll-free number and you set up a private coaching session. So there's all these different levels.
You don't have to just stay on Facebook or one of these
and struggle.
These message boards and just wander. You don't have to do that. If the book isn't enough for you, take it to the next level.
Yeah. So we have another service that we're offering now. for families called the Families Moving Past Addiction Masterclass.
And holy cow, is it popular?
It is popular. Our next one is scheduled. This is going to be released next week. So it'll be released pretty much the day before. So our next one is scheduled for April 6th, which is Thursday. And I think this will be released on that Wednesday. And it's from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. And that's actually we have a lot of people signed up for that one already. By the time this airs, it may be full because we're only taking 50 people at a time.
Yeah,
but we will have a new one scheduled for later in April and then 2 more scheduled in May. So you go to thefreedommodel.org and family resources, and it's a 3-hour kind of crash course for families on the Freedom Model.
Yeah, it's awesome. And families absolutely become empowered and understand a solution for themselves.
So if you're doing the Freedom Model and you have your spouse, your parent, your sibling, whatever is going, what are you doing? Tell them to enroll, do the masterclass, and then you'll talk to them about it.
That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. What a great show. And we will talk to you next time.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye. We want to send you a free copy of our revolutionary book, The Freedom Model for Addictions. To help us bring this incredible gift to you, we ask that you pay a small fee for shipping. Learn how tens of thousands of people have permanently solved their addictions without steps or meetings, and make 2023 your best year yet. Give yourself or someone you love the gift of total freedom from addiction. Click on the link to get your free copy sent to you today. Are you struggling with a drug or alcohol problem, but you don't want to go to rehab or group meetings? That's why we created the non-12-step Freedom Model coaching program in 2011. Through video conferencing on Zoom or Skype, you can work privately with a certified Freedom Model coach from your home or office on your schedule. And here's the best part. With the Freedom Model, you'll never be labeled an addict or an alcoholic, and we won't tell you to go to 12-step meetings or hamper your life with endless recovery rituals. Instead, you can learn exactly why addiction isn't a disease and how you can solve the problem for good and move on with your life. Do you want to be completely free from your addiction? Do you want to never have to attend meetings, rehabs, or addiction counseling ever again? And do you want to solve your problem from the comfort of home? Then call us at 888-424-2626 to talk with a Freedom Model coach today and experience the Freedom Model difference.